Okay, everyone, you may settle for today's sermon and show your agreement with 3 rounds of sadhu. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Yo najagama bhavesu sarang vichinam puppamiva udumbaresu. Dear Venerable, dear Dhamma friends, now today in this retreat we have some time to discuss Dhamma, and for this particular retreat I would like to start the discussion by giving this idea. Now let's say you are traveling on a long path. You are exhausted, you are hungry, you are in thirst, and you need some place to rest. You need some place to rest, you need to fill your belly, you need to make sure that you fulfill your thirst. And when you are in search for such a place, suddenly you see some lights from the distance. And these lights are inviting for the traveler, for the exhausted person. And you go there, it feels like a celebration. It feels like a party. Many people are there enjoying the music, and many people are there enjoying the food and the drinks that are available. So you join the crowd. You start filling yourself with the food and the drinks that are available. You start resting. You start enjoying the surrounding and the music that's played. So this way you make yourself comfortable, and it is a nice break from the long traveling, from the tiring traveling that you have done. Right? So this way you spend few hours, probably even few days, and whenever necessary, the food is always available. Delicious drinks are available. Even the music or the dancing or the enjoyment available. You wake up in the middle of the night, still you can hear the music. You can hear people enjoying. You can see that the party is ongoing. Right? So this way you spend few days, probably even few weeks. But when you spend more and more time, you get to understand there is some missing part here. These people, the party or the celebration, it is never ending. There is no end to it. Music, it's not ending. There is no end to it. Right? So always inviting to continue with the party, to continue with the celebration, to continue with food and the drinks that are available. Right? So that way, initially you enjoy this, but gradually you realize there is some problem with this. Maybe there is some lacking in this. That way, you get to see a downside of this whole party or the celebration. You started with a lot of energy, but now it feels like something is missing. Now it feels like déjà vu. You feel like you have gone through this experience somewhere, but you can't still figure out what it was. You feel like there's something missing here, but you can't still figure out what is missing. So that type of experience, although it's a metaphor given for life, I'm sure most of you have heard of the Vanity Fair. The destination or this celebration or this party, it's a vanity fair. It's never ending. It continues from early morning to the night, then night to the early morning. People are enjoying the music, dancing, drinking, eating, but it never ends. Right? So this type of a vanity fair of life we are experiencing. In our life also we do many things. It is so inviting when you start, especially let's say younger people or teenagers. They look upon life with lot of energy, lot of enthusiasm. That's how they start. But gradually when you reach your middle ages, you realize there's something missing here, right? And sometimes you feel like a deja vu. This has happened somewhere else. I feel like this is a repeat, but I can't still figure out what is happening. You feel like there's something missing, but you can't figure out what exactly is missing. Right? So this type of experience, I'm sure most of you have had with life. It's always a never-ending quest. You eat your meals, let's say you eat your maximum possible, still after a few hours, you feel this feeling of lack. Again, you become hungry. You travel, you experience many things, talk to new people. No amount of traveling can satisfy you. Still, there is something lacking. You earn money, you gather properties, you try to fulfill yourself with them, but still there's a feeling of lacking. Something is missing. So this way, we all are in a never-ending quest. We started it with lot of energy, lot of enthusiasm, but gradually that energy fades away and you start thinking what is missing. You feel like there's a missing part to this puzzle. Right? So that type of experience we have with life. I remember one time somebody was making very insightful comment about a certain situation. That particular person was talking about the surrounding in the Moscow city. They have these metros. Thousands and thousands of people, they are taking the metros, especially ladies. They take the metros, they are dressed beautifully, and they try to use the metro and go somewhere. It feels like they are busy. It feels like they are occupied. It feels like they are going to do some important task. That way, thousands and thousands of people, they are taking the metro and traveling every morning. So the person, he was observing this whole flow of people. Like machines, these people are coming to the metro station, getting the train and leaving. They are fully dressed, officially attending certain facilities, professionally dressed. Right? So that way they are going somewhere. And the bystander observing, somebody else was saying, it feels like these people, they are very busy with their work. It feels like there's so much productivity here. That type of a comment. And the other person was saying, they are going somewhere, all right. They are going somewhere, but not sure whether it's to work. Right? So that type of a situation. Even in our lives, we can say, early in the morning we get up, we feed ourselves, we dress in very nice clothes, and we go somewhere. Whether there is a purpose of going, not sure. But still, like a machine, you are going. If you don't feel like going, then it feels like something is missing. You set the same alarm every day and wake up to that alarm. You dress yourself, you eat your meals, you get into your vehicle, goes to the probably same destination as you always do. And there you spend few hours. It feels like working. It feels like you are busy. It feels like you do productive work. Then after spending few hours, maybe you come home. On the way you stop for some groceries. Again you reach home, do your usual rituals, eating, taking a shower, all these things. Right? So this way, every day we follow this routine. We do these repetitive activities. We eat the same meals. We talk to same people. Right? So this way, we always continue. Day by day we continue. Today you return home exhausted, but tomorrow early morning again you get up and go. This type of a journey, this type of a quest, all of us are in. With that said, we can go to the particular sutta that we have selected. Actually, this particular sutta, it is from Sutta Nipata Uraga Vagga, and from Uraga Sutta, the serpent. In the Uraga Sutta, you can see 17 verses are there. We won't be able to go through all of them. We have selected one verse for the entire retreat. And in these type of teachings, things are presented as verses, but there are so profound things taught. Simple few words, but when you go deep into the teaching, it is so profound. So for this particular retreat, we have selected the fifth verse from the Uraga Sutta. Right? And the first two parts of the verse goes like this. Yo najagama bhavesu saram vichinam puppamiva udumbaresu. That's how it starts with the first two sentences. What's the meaning of this? Yo najagama bhavesu sarang vichinam puppamiva udumbaresu. Here a certain teaching or a statement is given and it is explained with a metaphor. That's how all these verses go. Right? So it would be easier for us to understand this if we start with the metaphor. Metaphor is the second part. Vichinam puppamiva udumbaresu. Right? It says, similar to a person that searches flowers in a fig tree. Similar to a person who is in search of flowers in a fig tree. That's the metaphor given. Right? Now when we think about fig trees, do they have flowers? Then that that first we might have to understand what is this flowers in a fig tree. Right? Fig is a tree that doesn't bear obvious flowers. You can't see flowers from the outside. It is a tree with a syconium. It appears like a fruit. Inside only you can find layers of flowers. Right? So from the outside it appears like a fruit. That's how it is. So in a fig tree, no matter how much you search, you can't find flowers there. So that's the metaphor given. Buddha says, Vichinam puppamiva udumbaresu. A person who is in search for fig flowers, it's in vain. No matter how much you search, you won't be able to find it. Right? So with that metaphor it starts. Then he goes on to explain, Yo nachagama bhavesu saram. Similarly, he who does not find any essence in the state of being. He who does not find any essence in the state of being. That's the teaching, or that's the statement given related to the practice. We can search for some kind of essence, but that very search will be in vain. Similar to a person who is in search for fig flowers. No matter how much you search, still that search will be in vain. Right? So that's the very idea given in this verse as the beginning part, the very first part. Right? So we will take some time to understand these things, and it's nice that Buddha takes a fig tree in this particular teaching, because we can find certain parallels in some other teachings as well. It would be a nice way to explore the parallels between these ideas. Since it explains about a fig tree, let's go into certain teachings in Hebrew Bible. There they explain about the creation story. In the creation story, it mentions three types of trees. Initially, there is something like tree of life. Tree of life. The paradise is created. Adam and Eve, they are created. And it mentions about the tree of life. Everything is fulfilled. It's like, children. Children, they have this innocence of happiness, They are innocent, they are happy. Nothing is lacking to them. They are protected, they are under the protection of parents. Parents fulfill their needs. So the children, they live with some kind of a innocent happiness. They run around, they enjoy the surrounding. They eat when the meal times are there. They have no doubts, questions about themselves. And they don't care about what is good and evil. Right? Simply like children who are fulfilled. Simply like children who are full of that innocence and happiness. Right? So the initial state is similar to this state. The paradise is there. Adam and Eve, they are there. They are like the children of the God. Everything is fulfilled, there is nothing lacking. You don't have to go search for anything. You are satisfied there. That type of a situation was there initially. A tree of life. That's how it is said. Right? And there is another parallel in Buddhist teachings. In one of the teachings, Buddha explains about how the world is created. Right? At a certain age, the world is destroyed and recreated. Agganya Sutta. There, Buddha explains how the world is created, and initially all the creatures, they are in the Abhassara Brahmin world. Abhassara world. And when it comes to this Abhassara world, they have certain qualities. They feed on joy. They feed on joy and they are radiant. They travel around with their own light kind of a thing. Self-radiant. These are the qualities given of those creatures. And Buddha says, when the world is created, few beings from the Abhassara world disappear from there and appear in this newly created world. And they come with the same qualities. They feed on joy. And they are self-radiant. They are in this world. They feed on joy. They have their own kind of a radiance. And that's how they have been. They keep traveling here and there, utterly satisfied, feeding on joy, fulfilled. Right? So that type of a state of being. There's no feeling of lacking, nothing lacks. You are simply there, enjoying your given situation. Right? I remember one time I think I missed a meal. And somebody was asking, Bante, you didn't show up for the lunch. What happened? Are you sick or something? Right? So you have to answer the person, no? So I told him, these days I feed on joy. Like Abhassara. Right? Hunger appears, but you have to answer the fellow. Right? Feeding on joy. Like the Abhassara Devas. Right? So that way, these creatures are peaceful, feeding on joy, and they are simply traveling here and there with their own self-radiance. Right? So that was your initial state of being created. That type of idea. Then in the Bible, in that particular teaching, it says, after a while, these creatures, due to certain kind of let's say, statement, or God said not to eat something, and due to that, they did the very thing. Right? The second tree appears, the tree of knowledge, and it is assigned to an apple tree. Right? Even on the apple. Now, this tree of knowledge, after eating this fruit, what happens is that there is this search for knowledge. You go search for things, you try to create something new. You are no longer satisfied with the current state of things. Right? So that type of a change happens. It is said that not to eat this particular fruit. You can consume whatever available, but not this one. And when you are told not to do something, what happens is that naturally you get that very craving. So Osho says, God must have known. This is simple psychology. When somebody tell you not to do something, naturally that very need, that very desire appears. They say psychological reactance. Even in meditation you can experience this. You are told to be with the primary object. What happens? As soon as you are told to be with the primary object, all the other various objects starts to appear. All the sounds, thoughts, a variety of things come. Only primary object you can't observe. The rest of the things easily observed. That happens. That's why that sensory, they say, a disciple goes to a teacher and asks for some meditation advice. The teacher tells him, you can think about anything except for monkeys. Right? Think about anything you wish, but not the monkeys. This person goes sit in meditation. What will happen? Variety of monkeys will appear in his mind. Why? Because that very statement was made. Not to think about this. Same goes for the meditators. When they are asked to pay attention to the primary object, naturally the mind goes all around the place. That's how it is. Right? Similarly, in this story also, it is said that not to eat this. As soon as that instruction is given, you are doomed. Right? So you have to eat this fruit. The fruit or the tree of knowledge. And after eating, what happens is that there is this never-ending thirst. You go search for things, you go create new things. You are no longer satisfied with the current state of things. And when you think about those Apple devices, the symbol, right? It's an apple, a bite taken. That's from this story, right? It's an apple, a bite taken. And many people, they sit in front of these devices and try to satisfy their thirst. They keep searching. They keep browsing internet, right? On the phones and the devices, you keep scrolling yourself. This way, it's a never-ending quest. It is said, in a single year, an average user will slide through 125 kilometers on your screens, on your devices. It goes like this, right? Yes, with the fingertips. So 125 kilometers, that type of a search. Still not satisfied. No matter how much time you spend, still not satisfied. Right? So it's natural that in front of these devices, we spend many hours trying to fulfill ourselves. Still, that very exercise, that very search is in vain. And in Aggañña Sutta, same type of idea is given. Initially, you have those qualities from Abhassara Deva. That type of qualities. You feed on joy, you are self-radiant, and you travel around freely. But after a while, this whole earth, it was like an ice cream. Let's say vanilla ice cream. It appeared like an ice cream. So one of the creatures, he thought to himself, what is this mixture? What is this beautiful, attractive thing? it must be tasting very nice. Right? So this creature, what he did was simply took a little bit to his finger and tasted. So Buddha says that's how the desire created. The desire was there, but it was not so prominent, not so strong. But once you take a bite out of that ice cream or the earth, newly created earth, it tasted so good. And the creature starts gulping down this newly found thing. When one creature does it, what happens? The rest will follow. Monkey see, monkey do. Right? The rest will follow. And they start gulping down this mixture. More they eat, more desire is created. More they eat, more gross these creatures become. And their very nature of feeding on joy will disappear, and that self-radiant nature too will disappear. Right? So that type of a change happened, and these creatures, they start searching for food. These creatures, the desire becomes more and more gross. And the whole journey of never-ending search starts. Right? So that type of a search. Then as the third tree in that creation story, it mentions about a fig tree. And it is said that using the leaves of a fig tree, Adam and Eve, they covered themselves. Initially they were naked, like innocent children. It doesn't bother them. But after the poisonous apple of knowledge, after creating the whole idea of good and evil, they could no longer be naked. They feel guilty, so they covered themselves using fig leaves. That's what it said. And same goes for in this particular teaching. Buddha says you are in search of fig flowers. It's a search in vain, but still it continues. Again and again you go after certain things trying to fulfill yourself. You find one thing today, you feel little satisfied, but tomorrow there's this feeling of lacking once again. Right? You try to find some real essence. You try to fulfill yourself. No matter what you do, still there's feeling of lacking. I remember one time Elon Musk, he did this SpaceX rocket, and after many failures, it was the very first successful mission. So this fellow was watching the sky, feeling the energy, feeling the atmosphere of that success. And after watching for a while, he turned around and said, back to work. Right? You do many hours of work, you complete this huge task, still you have to go back to work. Right? So that type of a continuous search is there in this life, and that is the very search that's in vain. Similar to finding flowers in a fig tree. The search continues, but that very search is in vain. I'm sure all of us in our lives, we have tried various ways. We have tried with education, we have tried with professions, we have tried with family matters, we have tried with traveling, seeing the world. No matter what you do, still there's this feeling of lacking. Still you are not satisfied. There is no real essence that you can find. That's the whole journey. So what can we do? How can we be fulfilled? This very practice, it promises that this is the only way to be fulfilled. You have to understand your whole search is in vain. Your najagama bhavesu sarang, he who does not find any essence in the state of becoming, that's the person who will be satisfied. He is in search. He search various ways, but he realizes at the end that he couldn't find any real essence. Right? So that's in a way, that's the very observation that we do. When it comes to our level of practice, no matter how much we learn, still we feel like we can find some essence in this life. Right? That's the very quest that we are in. We try to do various things, we think that we can find it. You give up your family matters, you hold on to Dhamma, the practice, the meditation. You try to convince yourself that in meditation I'll be able to fulfill myself. Most people, they try that. They try to fulfill themselves with the practice, holding on to the practice. They say that there is this essence in the practice. Right? So that way, that's how we are. We try to fulfill ourselves in various ways, and we are still in that quest. When it comes to the practice of mindfulness, what we encourage is simply to continue this observation. Notice how you try to fulfill yourself with various things. Notice no matter how you do, still the feeling of lacking arises. No matter how much you do, still there is no real essence in this. No matter how many tasks that you complete, at the end of the day, you still feel the feeling of lack. That very observation you have to do. For example, let's say if you are a newcomer here, if you stay 3 days residential, you can really feel a feeling of lacking. You feel like going back home. You feel like watching some TV. You feel like talking to other people. That way you can feel a certain level of unsatisfactoriness. If I was at home, I'll be doing these things. Now in this environment, I can't do them. Various ways you think, you try to fulfill yourself. That type of a urge you can experience, especially if you are a newcomer. But the whole idea of the practice is simply to continue this observation. See how the mind creates this urge, trying to fulfill itself, trying to find various ways, trying to see certain essence in this whole process. Right? So the whole path or the practice would be simply to be mindful and observe the whole process of trying to satisfy yourself. No matter how much we learn, how much book knowledge we have, still you have to experience this whole process. See how sometimes you try to fulfill yourself with worldly things. Sometimes you try to fulfill yourself with noble things. Still the same process of fulfilling yourself. That's how it continues. So when it comes to mindfulness practice, it is important that you practice your mindfulness in all 4 postures. Many people, they think that meditation is sitting. That's how we know it. Even walking, most people, they don't like. They think that walking is simply exercising yourself, getting ready to sit. That's how they perceive it. Right? But in the Buddha's teaching, it is said that you should make all 4 postures even. How to make all 4 postures even? That's a difficult question. Now there's this story about Venerable Achancha, and in his initial years in the practice, he got this message. He was told to make all 4 postures even. You know what he did? He tried to even it with time. He walked for 2 hours, then he sat for 2 hours, then he stood for 2 hours, then he lied down for 2 hours. Right? He tried to equally assign times for each and every posture. That way of making postures even won't be peaceable. That's not how it's done. Instead, you have to maintain your practice throughout different postures. That's the whole idea of making 4 postures even. No matter what is the posture you are in, you try to maintain your mindfulness. That's the whole idea. You walk, you maintain your walking mindfulness. You stand, you maintain your standing mindfulness. You sit, you maintain your sitting mindfulness. You lie down, you maintain that very mindfulness. That way, the whole idea of making all 4 postures even is simply to continue your mindfulness throughout all these postures. That's the very idea, and that's good advice for a beginner especially. If you are given wrong advice, then you think that meditation is sitting. That's why many people come and say, I have come to a retreat after a break. But if they know the proper practice, they have to understand whether you are at home or whether you are in a meditation center, your practice continues. Whether you are standing or whether you are sitting, your practice continues. Whether you have accepted precepts or not, your practice continues. That's the whole idea of the practice. So remember, making all 4 postures even. No matter what posture you are in, your practice is intact. That's the whole idea. Right? That way you have to continue this observation. Time after time you continue the observation, and in the process you can feel how you try to fulfill yourself with certain things. According to the teaching, it is in vain. Buddha says it's like trying to find flowers in a fig tree. But still we continue now. Still we are in search. So we say it's okay to search. Let the search happen. But time after time, keep your eyes open and realize that this search is in vain. No matter how hard you try, no matter what you do, still you are left with a feeling of lacking. I remember one time a person was saying, some kind of a seasoned practitioner, we have to say, after practicing for many years, this person was saying, Bhante, now I feel my mind is trying to fill this void inside me. The mind is trying to fill this void. And it is trying various methods. It is trying to find hobbies, the old hobbies like listening to music. The mind is trying. Then mind is going after lust, trying to fulfill itself with the lust. Certain things I can't appreciate, we can't say it is according to the practice, but still my mind is trying. So that was the comment that was given by a yogi. Right? There's this void inside me and my mind is trying to fill it. The proper advice would be, of course, not to do it. Right? We can say that don't do it. Don't listen to music. Don't try to go after lust. Don't try to fulfill yourself. Accept the void. That would be proper advice. But instead of telling that, I told that person, allow the mind to try and see whether that whole effort is successful. So you listen to music. Right? You try it for like couple of days. Initially you feel like you are satisfied with it. And after a few days you realize still there's this void left. You get lustful thoughts. You think about past incidents. And it feels like you have filled this void. It feels like you have satisfied yourself for a while. But again the void appears. Right? So this way, let it try and feel it. And observe whether that very effort is successful. That's a different approach than simply saying not to do it. Than simply saying accept the void. It's not that easy. You can say accept the void, but this mind is not ready to accept. Right? Many people, they wish for Nibbana. They say, my goal, purpose of this life is to attain Nibbana. Right? Even when I go to retreat, sometimes I ask, why are you here? Right? Many people, they come up with the answer of, attaining Nibbana. Good. Yes, of course. But let's say, by accident, you really meet Nibbana one day. What will you do? Will you accept? Not sure. Most people, they say, I need a pee break. I'll go and come. Otherwise, I have to go tell my family members before I accept Nibbana. You will find 1,001 excuses not to accept it. That's the reality of this mind. We say we want to attain Nibbana, but if you come face to face with Nibbana one day, this mind will give 1,001 excuses not to do it. That's the real nature of this culprit. Right? That's how it is. And I remember a few weeks ago, one person was saying, ending this so soon feels like a waste. Ending this whole journey of samsara feels like a waste. Right? It would be better to continue even for few more eons. right? Trying to fulfill yourself, trying to enjoy this surrounding. Those type of attitudes are there. It's real. It's utter reality that we are talking. We hope for Nibbana, we say, talk about Nibbana, but if you meet Nibbana face to face, you will give 1001 excuses not to accept it. That's the reality. Dhamma or the practice would be another excuse. Right? We create whole lot of things. Right? Whole lot of practice related matters. Trying to avoid the present moment. Trying to avoid the Nibbana that you meet. Many people, they prefer reading books, reflecting, thinking about Dhamma related matters. That too, another version of avoiding the reality, avoiding the practice. Why? Because if you let go of the studies, if you let go of thinking about Dhamma, then you can really meet Dhamma. It is in the present moment, it is in here and now. But instead of accepting this, you say, I go and study. You say, I will keep thinking about Dhamma. Right? So various ways are there, trying to avoid, trying to skip the very Dhamma that is in front of us. That's why Buddha says, the Dhamma or the truth is in front of us. But we don't see it because we prefer changing objects. We change objects by studying Dhamma. We change objects by going into discussions about Dhamma. Even in meditation, you prefer some kind of a reflection about Dhamma. That's how most people like their meditation. They want to recite something. They want to reflect upon something. That would be their meditation. That's one of the blames towards mindfulness. They say, mindfulness, don't feel like it. It feels like, nothing interesting. Can we find something interesting? That question is posted. I remember one time, 7-day retreat. On the second day, a person was asking, Bhante, can you give some meditation advice so I can go home and meditate? 5 more days remaining in the retreat. This fellow was finding some method to meditate at home. Right? So various ways are there. We try avoid the truth that's in front of us. Right? So when you meditate, remember not to spoil your mind with various reflections. Not to spoil your mind with knowledge. Many people do that. Right? They start reflecting upon the faculties. They say this is the eye, this is the form, this is the ear, this is the sounds. That way, that type of reflection they start. Or some people, they reflect upon the non-self nature. They start non-self kind of a reflection, anatma reflection, they start. So this way, a variety of reflections come. Obviously, it is related to Dhamma. But that very reflection could become a hindrance to your practice. Instead of accepting the reality that is in front of you, instead of accepting the truth that's in front of you, you try to find something else to fulfill it. That's the whole idea. So, simply be with the walking. Simply be with the sitting. That's the best meditation you can do. You don't have to add any recitation onto this. You don't have to add any Dhamma words onto this. That is not necessary. Instead, when you simply be with the walking, You are experiencing Dhamma. When you simply be with the sitting, you are experiencing Dhamma. You are experiencing profound Dhamma. There no words are needed to explain it. You don't have to explain it. You simply witness it, and you can simply give up the need to explain it. You can simply give up the need to reflect upon this. That's not necessary. Those recitations are not necessary. Simply being with the walking would be the best practice. Simply being with the sitting would be the best practice. Even having your meals, simply notice the process. That's all you have to do. Many people, they try to reflect upon the food. They say, this food, although I eat it now, this becomes vomit, this becomes shit. That type of a reflection they do. They don't like the direct experience. They don't like the simple experience. Instead, they want to add something on top of that. But that's not necessary. Simply going with the process. Simply experiencing the whole eating process. That's the profound practice. That's all you need. Right? So that way, we try to keep all four postures even. No matter what you do, you try to maintain your practice. You try to maintain your mindfulness. Time after time, you can see this mind is trying to fulfill itself with various things. Allow it to happen, that's fine. But keep an eye and see whether that effort is successful. No matter what you do, still you are left with the feeling of lacking. That's the whole idea of the path we have selected. Buddha says this whole search is in vain. No matter how much you search, still that very search is in vain. It's like trying to find flowers in a fig tree. You can search, but that search will be in vain. Same goes for the essence in this life. Trying to find an essence in the state of becoming. Same goes for that search as well. Right? So we have to continue this observation and see this time after time. No matter how much you tell your mind, still it searches. Allow that search to happen. See this feeling of lack. Time after time, you are left with the feeling of lack. That way, you continue your observation. I hope today's ideas, today's discussion was helpful for your practice.